It's Monday morning. Someone please fucking shoot me. Yeah. Yeah, right? Good. Monday's just the worst. Oh, God. I have so much to do this morning. And I really don't want to talk about a fucking Ghostbusters movie. It's like. Okay, so. Um, a Ghostbusters movie was announced a while ago. Um, and I'm like, oh, this trailer looks terrible. I I'd argue the original Ghostbusters movie from 1984, was was not a comedy, uh, and that's a contentious argument. I think you could very easily say, no, are you stupid? Of course, it's a comedy. I'd argue that instead it's a horror movie. It's shot like a horror movie. It's the effects, the lighting, everything about it except the dialogue. It's a full-on horror movie. There's ghosts, there's supernatural stuff, there's a bunch of demons. That's horror movie, horror movie. Um, but the dialogue is very funny. So it's the entire structure for a horror movie, but surrounding comedic dialogue between a bunch of actors and a writer, Harold Ramis, who are known for comedy and are very good at it. This may at 1984. This might be the top of the apex of their game for all of these guys. It, and that's really interesting. That's neat. That's a neat idea. It's let's make a horror movie, but it's going to be a comedy. Certainly, there are horror comedies since then. There may have even been before that, certainly, but not played that straight, and that's the it has so much going for it. The original Ghostbusters, it's a real classic. I'm not a gigantic fan, but I nonetheless will just say endlessly nice things about it. The original is just very good, very very good. Um, but I saw this trailer for it, and it's like, well, this is clearly a comedy. This 2016 Ghostbusters remake. It, it doesn't look very good. It's a comedy, so the thing about a trailer is a lot of the times what you're looking at is cherry picked, because why wouldn't you? So, and for a comedy, you're kind of looking at some of the best, if not the best, jokes in the film. The short, quick. We can fire these off real quick in a trailer, and that'll be funny. But none of them were funny. Nothing in the trailer made me even laugh a little, and some of them were like, "Oh, that looks terrible. That's awful. Like that's very unfunny." So I had the trailer failed. It didn't make me want to see the movie. It made me want to specifically stay away from it. And then there was a huge hullabaloo about this fucking movie, just nonsense. This is my cat's mug on a mug. Just I'm a crazy person. Um, it's early. Um, so okay, so that's fine. So that happens. The trailer comes out. There's a huge, ridiculous, like online firing back and forth between um, critics of this movie and people kind of defending it. It's like, well, no one's critical of or really defending this movie. No one's seen it. I mean, it's entirely possible the actual cast and crew haven't seen the final cut, which might change a whole bunch. Lately, that's been happening a lot, particularly with Sony. Um, so, no one's commenting on the movie, they're just commenting on the trailer, which was shit. So, yeah, they had shitty things to say about it. It was a shitty trailer. Even the new ones, like, they're just convincing me that this film has no content if the best content you can pull just isn't very good. Um, so that's what it is. But then later, like, as we're getting late in the game, we're getting closer and closer to the release date of this film. The director Paul Feig, I guess is his name. Paul Feig and the main actresses, Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, and the rest, start appearing on stuff and are just lambasting the audience for this movie, and not just like kind of like, I think Paul Feig said, oh, what a bunch of assholes, fans, And I'm like, dude, you're ultimately in the service industry. You're selling a service. You've made a movie. Yes, it is a product, but you're trying to get people to come in and watch that product, to spend money, watch it. And you called it freaking Ghostbusters, not Ghostbusters something else. The reboot that we've made, you've called it Ghostbusters, and you've done a total reboot. And from what I understand from the Sony hack, he wanted to do a total reboot. He wanted to completely start from scratch, just burn the house to its foundations and start over. Okay, fine, you started new. I also understand that this film is just filled with cameos from the original cast, callbacks to the original film. So it's like, look, I think it's more complicated, but my point is, you remake a movie like this, you completely remake it. There are reasons for doing it. And if you're going to call it Ghostbusters, you're doing it clearly to get people who remember the original and get their asses in seats. It's what you've done. There's no two ways about that. You want the people who are fans of the original to come see this one. That's why you called it Ghostbusters. This isn't a sequel. This is a reboot. I mean, if you didn't want them, then you wouldn't call it Ghostbusters. You do a different franchise, or you do like a parody, or just make something like a spiritual successor for a ghost movie. Perfect. But you didn't do that. You did Ghostbusters. So here you go. This is what you wanted to do. This is what you got. I need that light. It's dark enough in here. So they started like posting and on television appearances and sort of like promoting this film, but actively not just criticizing their audience when the film hasn't come out yet, but making like derogatory, even mean comments like, oh, obviously these are just 40-year-old virgins living in their mom's basement, and it's like, are you fucking with me? And the thing about that is, why would you do that? A, you're the soup Nazi from Seinfeld. Backstory: Seinfeld was a comedy, had this episode where there was a soup Nazi. There was this guy who made amazing soups, but he was an asshole. He was just very demanding. It was terrible to his customers, but his soups were incredible, so people didn't flip him off and still patronized his store. So if you're saying, like, hey, I'm going to make this movie, but I'm going to treat the audience my movie is designed to pull in, I'm going to treat those specific people like ass, my film must be amazing. Like, you don't have a choice. You're going to go see this. The reviews are just going to be incredible. You're going to go see my film. Nothing in the trailer indicates to me that this is the case. I mean, and from the reviews I'm seeing and the fact that at this point it's definitely a flop, Obviously, that was not the case. Two, reason number two you might do something like that. You know it's bad. You know the thing you made is no good, so you're just grasping at straws, just trying to get attention. Although I think that might end. Oh, what was his name? The new executive who replaced Amy Pascal. Tom Rothman was kind of saying shit to that effect, where he was, oh yeah, there's no such thing as bad media attention, So yeah, give me your shitty comments. We want them because that'll give more attention to us, and we'll make more money. Allegedly, and I'm like, I don't believe that he believes that. I don't believe that for 1 second. No, this is damage control. Period. Um, so, God, it was just so baffling, like their behavior. The entire marketing this was just so terrible. And from what I understand, this was like I refuse to see it. I refuse. I'm not going to even pirate it. I don't care. I'm not wasting my life. It's like 2 hours long. Fuck that. No, I've my time on this earth is so precious. So no, I'm not watching this movie. There's no reason to. Specifically because don't treat your customers like shit. I mean, if you go into a sandwich place, Soup Nazi is an excellent example. You go to a sandwich place, and they start making fun of you as you're walking in the door, like, "Hey, Tubby, why do you want a grilled sandwich? Maybe you should have some vegetables or something somewhere else, get some exercise." If if the place trying to take in your business treats you like shit, would you go, "Well, they said mean things about me, I'll give them a try anyway"? No. Or they said awful, shitty things about me and me specifically, but other people like me in general, who are their audience, whose money they're trying to get. I mean, it's the marketing, and particularly the comments of the cast and the director, got me to the point where I don't want to see this film. I'm actively rooting against them. I hope this movie fails so that the studio maybe learns a lesson and doesn't do this again, because that's a shitty thing to do. Don't treat your audience like crap. I mean, what if it was a good movie and I didn't see it because for no other reason than your shitty behavior made me want to not see it? I would have missed out on a good film because you're an asshole. So don't be an asshole. The customer is always right. It's, yeah, even when they're wrong, they're right. I mean, if they think that your advertising is shitty because it has not compelled them to see it, you can't debate that. I don't feel like seeing your movie. I saw your advertising. Don't want to see your movie. Your advertising is shitty. Other than that, what else is there to say about this? A lot of people were saying it's going to be shitty because it's a sequel and a reboot. It's like they're taking it and remaking the thing, and that's fine. It's not bad by default because it's a remake of a movie. There are tons of movie remakes that are vastly superior to the original. The Thing from Another Planet, classic B movie, John Carpenter remade as The Thing, which is, and not to disparage the original. The original's what it was, but the remake was way better. It was amazing. It's a classic horror sci-fi film. It's awesome. Kitty cat mug. Or Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Once again, B movie to fantastic 70s remake. Just the list goes on. There's just been a ton of remakes. Most people aren't even aware. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz is actually a remake. The original was made, I think, 29 years, about roughly 30 years prior to that. It was a black and white, I think, silent film. It had to have been. It was like in 1915 or whatever the hell. But it was a hard reboot. They Isn't that kind of interesting? The original Wizard of Oz, Frank Baum was the guy who wrote The Wizard of Oz, was kind of involved in it. He made a little studio, and they made a couple films, sequels to The Wizard of Oz. It was the film from 1915 or whenever it was. And he actually took one of the scripts from one he just made up for movies and adapted that, and that became one of the Wizard of Oz books. There's like 16, 18 of them. There's a whole bunch of them, but I'm getting off track. My point is, just because something's a sequel doesn't, or a sequel or a reboot doesn't make it bad. There are plenty of excellent remakes, but there are reasons to make a remake. One is the original was inferior, or we didn't have a budget, or the effects have changed, or something. We think we can do better. Is one reason to do it. John Carpenter's The Thing, excellent example. Hell, The Wizard of Oz even better, because it's like the movie making technology changed. The budget was 1,000 times bigger, literally. So sure, reboot, remake, just redo it. Another reason to do a remake is you have a completely different take on something. While I know they didn't do well, the RoboCop movie. Here's a good example. I don't disparage the RoboCop movie. It had the RoboCop remake from recently, 2014, 15, whenever that came out. It wasn't a bad film. It was very different than the original. The original was cool because it was this very subversive, mean, political commentary that also happened to have a robot man story. The recent one, all that was gone. It was nothing like that. But at the same time, it had ideas like, it had RoboCop. They rewired his brain because they needed to have a guy in the suit for moral reasons. He wasn't property the way he was in the first film. It was a complete remake. I think they actually hurt themselves by calling it RoboCop. They had enough different ideas that you could have just gotten rid of the window dressing, created new design, which they kind of did anyway, and just do it. The point was, people remember RoboCop. The one reason to remake a film is because you have an automatic audience. Part of making a particular advertising film isn't just convincing people to see it. It's just step one, make people even aware of the thing. If you remake RoboCop or Ghostbusters or The Wizard of Oz or whatever, you automatically, I've heard of that, so even if you didn't see the original RoboCop or whatever. So you have kind of a built-in advertising, and advertising is very expensive, particularly these days. I think Ghostbusters itself was over $100 million in advertising, and that wasn't even a big advertising thing. Certainly they spend way more on Green Lantern and any of the Marvel movies, so that's kind of my whole shtick here is the advertising of this movie. Ghostbusters was shitty. Reboots aren't automatically bad. The end. I'm out.